Beyond markets, the 5 most useful types of Onion sites for researchers and journalists. When journalists and researchers mention the dark web, public imagination jumps immediately to illegal marketplaces. Yet the most valuable Onion resources for legitimate professional work have nothing to do with commerce. Academic researchers, investigative journalists, security analysts, and human rights investigators rely on specific dark web service categories that enable their work while protecting sources, maintaining operational security, and accessing information unavailable elsewhere. This guide identifies the 5 most useful Onion service types for professional research and journalism, demonstrating that the dark web's greatest value lies in enabling accountability, knowledge access, and free expression. 1. SecureDrop installations and whistleblower platforms. Purpose and functionality. SecureDrop is open-source software enabling secure, anonymous document submission to news organizations. Major outlets including The New York Times, The Guardian, Washington Post, ProPublica, and dozens of others operate SecureDrop instances accessible via Onion addresses. These platforms allow sources to submit documents, data, and tips without revealing identity or location. The air-gapped architecture ensures that even if news organization systems are compromised, source anonymity remains protected. Professional applications. Journalists use SecureDrop to receive sensitive documents from confidential sources, communicate with whistleblowers without endangering them, accept tips about wrongdoing without creating traceable connections, and establish secure channels for ongoing source relationships. The technical guarantees SecureDrop provides enable journalism that would be impossible or too dangerous with conventional communication methods. 2. Archive and library services. Censorship-resistant knowledge access. Several archive services maintain Onion mirrors providing access to books, academic papers, historical documents, and banned materials. For researchers in developing countries without institutional access to expensive academic databases, these archives provide materials otherwise completely inaccessible. Students and scholars use these resources for legitimate academic work when economic or geographic barriers prevent legal access. Research applications. Researchers benefit from access to out-of-print or rare materials, papers behind paywalls at prohibitive costs, historical documents removed from official archives, and banned materials relevant to understanding censorship, propaganda, or cultural history. Dark web archives democratize knowledge access across economic and geographic boundaries. 3. Forums and communities for sensitive topics. Observing underground communities. Understanding certain phenomena requires observing discussions in communities that wouldn't exist on surface web platforms. Researchers studying cybercrime, extremism, harm reduction, or other sensitive topics rely on dark web forums providing windows into otherwise hidden communities. These observations enable academic research on how criminal groups operate and communicate, the evolution of extremist ideologies, harm reduction practices in drug-using communities, and underground economy dynamics. Ethical considerations. Observational research in these spaces raises ethical questions. Researchers must balance knowledge gained against potential platform amplification, maintain purely observational roles versus intervention when witnessing harm, protect research integrity while safeguarding human subjects, and publish findings without enabling malicious actors. Professional research ethics boards review dark web studies to ensure appropriate safeguards. For vetted research relevant Onion links, visit onionlinks.com. 4. Uncensored news and information sources. Accessing banned journalism. Authoritarian regimes censor independent journalism, blocking news sites and arresting reporters. Dark web mirrors of news organizations provide uncensored information to populations otherwise fed only state propaganda. Major international outlets operate Onion services specifically for censored regions, BBC News for China and Iran, The New York Times for censored markets, Voice of America for authoritarian states, and Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty for Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Research applications. Researchers studying authoritarian states, media censorship, or political movements in restricted regions rely on these sources to access uncensored information about events in closed countries. Verify or contradict official government narratives, understand information available to citizens using circumvention tools, and track censorship patterns by observing what's blocked. 5. Privacy-preserving communication tools. Secure source communication. Beyond SecureDrop's formal submission systems, journalists need ongoing secure communication channels for developing sources, conducting interviews, and verifying information. Dark web-based communication tools provide these channels without compromising source anonymity. Services like OnionShare enable direct encrypted file transfers, while various encrypted chat systems operate via Onion addresses, protecting both journalists and sources from surveillance. Operational security for journalists. Investigative journalists, particularly those covering national security, corruption, or organized crime, face surveillance and targeting. Dark web communication tools provide operational security that surface web platforms cannot match, enabling anonymous coordination with other journalists on sensitive stories, source communication without creating interceptable records, and protection against targeted surveillance. Visit the link in the description below for more information.